For the first time since its war with Russia began, the national parliament canceled its Friday sessions. Residents, businesses, and office owners in Kyiv have also been warned of the threat. There's also fears that this new violence could spill into neighboring countries like Poland, where U.S. troops are stationed, by the way. With us is senior national security contributor, retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton. General, great to see you. Good morning.
Good morning, Hena. Good to be with you always this morning.
Always great to see you. So a lot of talk about this new missile technology fired at Ukraine. You have vast military experience, sir. How much of a threat does it pose, not only to Ukraine, but of course, other neighboring countries like Poland?
Well, I would call it's more jarring. I don't think it's significant. I don't think it's, frankly, a silver bullet or a game changer. But what we're seeing, Hena, is really both sides trying to better their position, especially first as the onset of Russia now, or excuse me, onset of winter now, hits the region, of course. And then you've also got, obviously, the election of President Trump, and the administration will take power on the 21st of January. So it's as if both sides are trying to improve their position as what we will anticipate coming out of President Trump and his administration, a very strong effort to find a negotiated settlement to the war. The war now is beyond now 1,000 days, and there's been significant losses on both sides. So I think that's part of what you're seeing here is this back and forth.
So let's go to that new meeting between Trump and NATO's chief. Putin directly threatening the U.S. NATO military base in Poland that I believe just opened a short while ago. American troops, are they safe at that base in Poland, General?
They are safe. We've got significant missile defense and anti-missile defense capabilities there. We've got significant land power and air power there. This base you're referring to was actually established under the Obama administration in 2009 as we more closely aligned with a very key ally and a NATO partner, Poland. It's the first U.S. permanent base in Poland, and it literally just opened up on November 13th, just a few days or so ago. And so what you're seeing here is you're seeing these pronouncements, this declaratory pronouncements from Putin. It reminds me of the Cold War era, and back in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, from then the Soviet leaders and so forth. But again, I think he's trying to rattle, perhaps the NATO, alliance. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's really coming at a point now in this conflict where he's really running out of options. He has lost 700,000 Russian soldiers, either killed in action or wounded. That's extraordinary in these 2 years. And so I think that's what you're seeing here. On the other hand, President Zelensky and Ukraine are trying to improve their position, as I mentioned at the top of our conversation, with regard to what I think they anticipate will be a U.S.-led or even a President Trump-led efforts to negotiate a settlement to this long war.
So how likely is it that the U.S. could get drawn even further into Russian aggression? We've seen the British military saying we're ready to fight if something happens. Do you think we're in the same position?
No, I think what they're talking about is the Article 5 of the NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, declaratory, long-standing policy, whereby if one of our NATO members are attacked, then it's considered as if all the members are attacked. That's really what this is about. I do not anticipate anything at all in terms of the United States or other NATO members getting directly involved with this conflict. But what I do see is continued, stiffen NATO alliance, certainly under a Biden administration, but we're going to see that continue under a Trump administration, maybe through a different path, as I mentioned, through negotiations. That's why you see this diplomatic efforts pursuing right now in terms of President Trump meeting with the NATO secretary. You also have the NATO ministers themselves meeting on the heels of what that was a recent Russian intercontinental, or it was actually an intermediate range ballistic missile. But let's put it into context. Last week, this weekend time, Russia launched the second largest strike of ballistic missiles and drones against Ukraine that went after Ukraine's energy production capability on the face of what's going to be a very tough cold winter.
Tell us about your thoughts on Putin's escalation with that new missile, bringing in North Korean troops. Now European officials suspecting Russia is behind internet cable cutting in the Baltic Sea. A lot of things happening in a short amount of time. Your thoughts?
Very troubling, significant, and I think this is where it's very important that the NATO alliance remains strong and unified, and is doing so. But again, this is President Putin. Again, this saber rattling thing. But by the way, his threats, however, are not empty, because remind our viewers, Russia has the largest nuclear missile inventory and nuclear weapon inventory in the world.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.